I'll answer and नेहा आप भी वो जो Q&A वाला कह रहे थे ना, just
हाँ,
mention that. So वो भी एक बार उसी में यहीं पर ये मेजोरिटी का क्वेश्चन रहेगा ही रहेगा.
ठीक है। तो वी आर नाउ लाइव ऑन यूट्यूब। आई जस्ट क्विकली इंट्रोड्यूस वॉइस ऑफ सीए एज वेल एज यू आयुष, एंड देन वी कैन go forward starting with Gauravji's question, given it is a majority question, and then we can go forward with the deliberation if that's okay.
हम्म.
ठीक है, ओके। नमस्ते एवरीबॉडी, गुड इवनिंग, थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस ऑन अ सैटरडे इवनिंग। वी आर नाउ live on YouTube channel as well of Voice of CA. So today we have organized this webinar on the topic peer review. Namaste Ashwini sir, thank you for joining us. Today we have organized this webinar on peer review, इसलिए क्योंकि आने वाले समय में मैक्सिमम फर्म्स के लिए जो ऑडिट करते हैं, जो साइनिंग करते हैं, उनके लिए peer review मैंडेटरी होता चला जाएगा. So this is the need of the hour where we have C Ayush Jain with us today, जो आपको through every aspect of peer review के थ्रू लेके जाएंगे, इंक्लूडिंग प्रिपरेशन ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट्स. कैसे आपने प्रिपेयर करना है बिफोर you go for peer review, and कैसे अपने documentation ready करने हैं, and also he would be covering AQMM, and if we will have time and time allows us तो हम लोग merger वाला aspect भी cover कर लेंगे, just like Ayush just mentioned. Introducing Voice of CA, I am CA Neha Agarwal, the General Secretary of Voice of CA, which is an NGO. My father started CA Sanjay Agarwal, who's also a Central Council member, in 2009. ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हम 2009 से चला रहे हैं, जिसके अंदर हम रेगुलर अपडेट्स देते हैं फॉर आवर सीए मेंबर्स थ्रू मेलर्स, थ्रू व्हाट्सएप, टेलीग्राम, यूट्यूब, एवरी चैनल. रेगुलर वेबिनार्स, सेमिनार्स करते हैं. और अभी पीछे ही पिछले हफ्ते हमने एक हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से एक नया दौर शुरू करा है, वेयर हम अपने सीए मेंबर्स के लिए की हेल्थ और वेलनेस पे ध्यान देने के लिए और उसको प्रमोट करने के लिए, टू इंकरेज दैट विद इन आवर मेंबर्स, we launched a yogram program at Haridwar with the blessing of Ramdev ji as well as CA Dr. Girish Ahuja, under the guidance of Ashwani sir and my father, where we took more than 400 members along with their families over there at Yogram. They did 3 days वहां पर वेलनेस का एक अच्छा जर्नी रहा with everybody. I hope you can find their experiences on our social media. एंड मूविंग फॉरवर्ड विद दैट, हम लोग और भी ऐसे प्रोग्राम्स करेंगे जहां पर हम मेंबर्स को ये बार बार याद करा सके कि हाउ की प्रोफेशनल लाइफ के साथ साथ हेल्थ कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट है. Other than this, we also have a job portal, job vacancy portal, which is on Facebook itself. And उस पोर्टल पे आप कभी भी अपने वैकेंसीज डाल सकते हैं, एंड बहुत सारे लोग उस पर रिप्लाई करते हैं, उस पर अपने रेज्यूमेस भेजते हैं, विच वुड बी अ नाइस प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर द फर्म्स टू कनेक्ट with respect to filling the vacancies. Our head office team will be sharing our social media channels and WhatsApp group links in the webinar chat box every half hour. If you want to stay connected with us, you can always go there. For putting your Q&As, please use the Q&A box only. Chat वाले box में Q&As miss हो जाते हैं. Ayush would be taking up Q&As as and when we go forward with every topic. Introducing Ayush shortly. He's the founder of a unique startup called P2P Enablers, which has been conceptualized for assisting and empowering practicing units in leading the flawless professional life and also in capacity building. He's a qualified member and has done PGDBA and BCom honors. He's a special invitee member of Ethical Standards Board of ICAI for 22-23 and 23-24. During the process of acquiring his certificate, he became passionate and determined to bring qualitative improvement in delivery of services being made by professionals. To pursue his goal, he started understanding the profession, the public perception, functioning of the practicing units, and ICAI. He is devoting his time to sharpen his skill set for learning, teaching, coaching, problem solving, process improvement, use of technology, code of conduct, and code of ethics, knowing the profession 360 degree. His flair to represent professionals before various regulators, administrative bodies, government, and so on equips him with an extra mileage, of course. He's a learned faculty and a dear friend with expertise in peer review, disciplinary matters, and code of ethics. Welcome, Ayush. I hope we can do more and more webinars with you as we go forward. Over to you.
Thank you, Voice of CA. Thank you, Neha, for introduction and giving this opportunity to address all the community members on this very hot topic and need of the hour, considering what you mentioned that sooner or later, uh, almost every firm is subject to get themselves peer reviewed. It's just a matter of time. And as mentioned by previous chairman of a peer review board in most of the peer review training programs across the country, that the sooner it is just a matter of time that ICI has released this mandate on peer review in phased manner, but it's a matter of time that after this phase, even proprietorship firms or partnership firms, and let's say that whosoever wishes to perform an attestation function will be required to get the peer review certificate as an advance, meaning thereby peer review certificate will be considered as a prerequisite to perform an attest function. This is the direction which the ICI, which the central government, which we are moving ahead with. Let's see how it gets implemented. And to begin with, as CA Neha mentioned, that I'll be taking queries and all your answers as we go through the session. And it is my request, as I have been specifically mentioned by Neha, this is a practical session, not a theoretical one. Whatever queries you wish to raise, whatever queries, please raise, and I'm here to address all the practical aspects in this regard. And the broad direction of the or structuring of the webinar would be that we'll start with the mandate, including the recent development which is getting circulated on the WhatsApp, then peer review procedure, and along with the basic application form which is to be filed with the ICI. And as many members are asking about the QC manual, I'll answer that. I'll cover it as well. That because it is the first topic, first question, very first question of the part B of the form one. So I'll go one by one and cover all the things. So I'm just sharing my screen. Just confirm me if it is visible.
Yes, it is. It is,
Okay.
Ayush.
So to begin with the basics, the ICI peer review board. Simply, I'm going with the basics just to understand, just to make you aware that this is the website of ICI Peer Review Board. This is a very short website. Whatever anybody wishes to know about peer review, it is given over here. Everything is given over here. It is the only website which has got all the details. Firstly, secondly, this is the only office for across the country where all the peer reviews are getting taken care of by ICI. All peer reviews, even of Chennai, even of Shimla, all peer reviews are taken care by this particular office only. This is the email for all communications with ICI peer review board. All communications with ICI peer review board are via only this email right from the beginning till the end. So this is the primary email ID and this is the phone number जो which I normally say कि ये वो फोन नंबर है ऑफ द आईसीआई जो उठता है. सो इसमें आपको कभी चैलेंज नहीं आएगा वेन एवर एट एनी पीयर रिव्यू स्टेज. आपको वेर एवर यू आर फेसिंग अ चैलेंज कि यू हैव सबमिट द सबमिशन टू आईसीआई बट यू आर वेटिंग फॉर द सबमिशन, वेटिंग फॉर द रिप्लाई, वेयर योर peer review start, कहीं भी you are facing any challenge during entire course of peer review, call on this number and give your FRN, firm registration number, mention your firm name, firm registration number, and your call will be directed to the chartered accountant or any other person who is having your file. So ये है अगर आपको बिल्कुल करेक्ट स्टेटस जानना है. ठीक है. ये हो गए बेसिक्स. देन अभी इसमें फर्स्ट स्टेप एज आई मेंशन विल स्टार्ट विद द मैंडेट पार्ट. दिस इज द मैंडेट. I'm intentionally using the ICI website because so that you remain aware. Vinod ji will take your query. You have raised hand. Just मैं एक बार mandate cover कर दूं, then I'll take your query. इसमें this is mandate. इसमें this is the most relevant link. 11th February का 11th April 2022. ये आपका mandate है. In this mandate, this table, ये जो table है, ये crux में this is the summary and this is the most relevant part of entire part. आप इस table को समझ लीजिए, इतना ही जानना है, ठीक है? And in this table, इसे इसको पढ़ने का क्या पैटर्न है वो मैं बता देता हूँ. So this is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. ये डेट्स हैं. इन डेट्स पे हम बाद में आते हैं. पहले आप ऐसा समझिए कि सीए फर्म्स, प्रैक्टिस यूनिट इज सीए फर्म्स, जनरली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज पीयूज. सो अगर इन द एंटायर पीयर रिव्यू प्रोसीजर आपको कहीं पे प्रैक्टिस यूनिट या पीयू वर्ड मिले, मीनिंग देयर बाय इट्स अ सीए फर्म. Whenever I'm recognizing CA firm, I'm not recognizing a branch of CA firm. I'm recognizing FRN. हम जितनी भी बात करेंगे, it will go around with the FRN. Meaning thereby, let's say you have 5 offices. You have one office, head office at Delhi, one branch office at your Jammu Kashmir, one branch office at Dehradun, one at Mumbai, one at Chennai. अब आपके ये सारे ऑफिसेज है, पीयर रिव्यू किसका होगा सर? पीयर रिव्यू एफआरएन का. पीयर रिव्यू सर्टिफिकेट इज इशू टू द एफआरएन. सो इस मीनिंग से जस्ट विद दिस स्टेटमेंट आपकी काफी क्वेरीज विल गेट रिजॉल्व कि अगर मान लीजिए हमारी फर्म का आफ्टर द पीयर रिव्यू हमारी फर्म का मर्जर हो जाता है, तो what will happen to the peer review certificate? So till the time FRN is same, your peer review certificate will stay the same. हमारी फर्म का नेम चेंज हो जाता है, what will happen? You get your peer review certificate duplicate copy with a new name क्योंकि FRN is the same. So till the time FRN remains same, आपका peer review certificate will remain same. ठीक है? प्लस पीयर रिव्यू सर्टिफिकेट, पीयर रिव्यू क्योंकि एफआरएन का हो रहा है, सो ऑल द ब्रांचेस, ऑल द ऑफिसेस, ऑल द सीएस जो उस एफआरएन के अंडर हैं, वो सभी पीयर रिव्यू के सब्जेक्ट टू है. मीनिंग देयर बाय, इसमें एक पीरियड आता है, पीयर रिव्यू जो होता है वो होता है ऑन द डेट ऑफ एप्लीकेशन, वे ऑन वट एवर डेट यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर पीयर रिव्यू टू द आईसीआई पीयर रिव्यू बोर्ड, उससे just preceding 3 years, immediately preceding 3 financial years are covered under peer review. Meaning thereby, let's say you are applying for peer review today. So today is 9th March. Your 9th March 24. Since you applied, if you are applying today, so immediately preceding 3 years will be 31st March 23, 31st March 22, 31st March 21. Meaning thereby, from a peer review period will be from 1st April 2020 till 31st March 2023. Meaning thereby, this is one of the biggest confusion. So please understand carefully. Koi query ho, please raise. Meaning thereby, all the signing dates, not the UDN generation date, not the period which to which a particular assignment pertains to. No, but all the signing dates falling between 1st April 2020 till 31st March 23 are subject to peer. So, irrespective of the period it pertains to, irrespective of the date on which UDN was generated. मैं दोनों का meaning let me clarify. Meaning is, let's say you generated a UDN on 10th of April 2023, for which the UDN pertains to certificate, and the certificate date is 30th March 23. So even if the UDN was generated on 10th of April 2023, then also such a UDN, such certificate will get covered in the period. Firstly. Secondly, with this meaning, for all the financial statements which were signed in August and September 2023, they will not be subject to peer review with this definition in this cycle. So, and all the financial statement which was signed in September 2020, which pertain to financial year 1920, they will get subject to peer. So it's a very common confusion amongst the members, which I'm just clarifying. And the best way to do is, best way to proceed to start with the peer review is you log into the UDN portal, download all the UDNs, mention make it a filter over there in the UDN portal for 1st April 2020 till 31st May 2023, not 31st March 23, but 31st May 2023. Reason being, because ICI has allowed 60 days delayed UDN generation. Grace period is there. So you need to make opening as well as closing period adjustments. In opening, for all the UDNs which were generated during 1st April 2020 till 31st May 2020, but they pertain to a period, or the signing date for such UDNs were prior. If the signing dates of such UDN were prior to 31st March 20, then they need to be excluded. And for the closing part, for all the UDNs generated between 1st April 2023 till 31st March 31st May 2023, but the signing dates falling prior to 31st March 23, they need to be included. This is the broad scope of work. Broad and all these UDNs are subject to peer review. And when I'm saying all these UDNs, I mean all UDNs, meaning thereby even a certificate, all type of certificates are subject to peer review. All type of audits, including internal audit, tax audit, statutory audit, GST audit, which was there during this period, all types of even compilation assignments, provisional financials, prospective in case you generated UDN. So all attestation function, irrespective of its nature, are subject to peer. इस definition, इस period under peer review में अगर किसी को confusion है, please raise. So let me just see. Also, yeah, I'll cover. In case of death of one partner, yes. So yes, sir. In case of death of the partner, yes. So basically, for each of the partners, now UDN peer review is of FRN. So for each of the partner who was there in the firm between such period under review, between 1st April 2020 till 31st March 23, who was there in the firm even for a 1 day. Also, even such, if such partner has deceased, is no longer into existence in the firm or in this world, it doesn't matter. It is the FRN of whose responsibility the documents pertaining to such partner was to be maintained. So even if in case of death, it has been seen that the peer review board requires and makes it mandatory that such partners attest functions are also covered in the peer. So I I hope I have answered your query. And then
आयुष, गौरव जी का क्वेश्चन ले लो जो सबसे पहले आया था.
हाँ, मैं गौरव जी का जो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है ना, फॉर्म
हाँ, मैं
वन
बता
वाला
देती.
ना.
हाँ, in form 1, clause 22 of part A, they are asking about net worth borrowing UDIN
हाँ
wise,
हाँ,
but while
वो
generating
अभी
UDIN, net
अभी
worth
मैं,
and borrowing are not mandatory.
हाँ, सो फॉर्म वन जब मैं खोलूंगा ना, दैट टाइम आई विल कवर. इसीलिए मैं अभी ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स और ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग भी आई एम नॉट टेकिंग. नेटवर्थ वाला भी मैं उसी टाइम लूंगा जब फॉर्म वन आई विल ओपन. सो मैं वो
ठीक है.
डिस्कस करूंगा. ठीक है.
ठीक है.
अब
ठीक है.
मैंडेट पर आते हैं. मैंडेट में वह जो सीए फर्म्स, अब यहाँ पर मैंडेट में ऐसा है, ये कॉमन क्वेरी है सीए फर्म्स की, वी आर वेरी स्मॉल साइज, हमारा तो पीयर रिव्यू क्यों ही हो रहा है. सर, इट इज नॉट, इट डजंट मैटर वेदर योर द साइज ऑफ द फर्म डजंट मैटर, but the nature and size of the client matters. So if any proprietor, even if it's a proprietary concern, if any firm is undertaking the audit of any listed entity, then also the peer review was supposed to have the for such firm was supposed to have a peer review certificate effective from 1st April 2010 as per SEBI guidelines and as per ICI 1st April 2022. This is for listed. Listed includes listed entities under MSME Act, MSME Stock Exchange. It is a very common misconception that only listed under NSE, BSE are covered. I just had a peer review of a CA firm who got very confused that it's just listed in Metropolitan Stock Exchange. Should we consider it as a listed? For peer review purposes, yes, it is considered as listed. Now, uh, now, in case of now how it is to be read, this is the listed part. Now it is to be read in two parts: before or para and after or paragraph. So if any firm, just read it with me, if any firm, even if it's a proprietorship firm, is catering to the is undertaking audit function of such type of clients, that is statutory audit of unlisted public clients having paid up capital of this or annual turnover not less than 1000 crores. First type of client is this. Second is this. Statutory audit of entities. Company word is not there. Entities. So even proprietorships are covered. Even tax audit of partnerships are covered. Oh, meaning thereby even LLPs are covered. So entity is the word here. And so even if it's a proprietorship concern which is undertaking such type of audits like bank audits, like these type of audits or this type of audits, if even a proprietorship concern is having such type of audits or clients, then they were supposed to have peer review certificate before such dates. 1st April 23, 1st April 24, 1st April 25. Such type, and the term is there is a prerequisite, meaning thereby it's a prerequisite to perform a test function. You cannot say that we have applied to peer review board, our certificate is pending, only ICI is dealing, sir, doesn't matter. It's a prerequisite. You must have a certificate to perform the test function. As simple as that. Now, this is the first part of reading it. Second way of reading is the after or part, meaning thereby CA firms rendering attestation services. Any attestation, even certification is included. Attestation services and having 5 or more partners, 4 or more partners, 3 or more partners. Doesn't matter what type of audits they are undertaking. Doesn't matter. But if the firm FRN is having these many partners, regardless of the nature of audit, then for such CA firms, it's a prerequisite of having peer review certificate before accepting any statutory audit. Before accepting. So, if you are going to have, if you wish to accept any statutory audit of a bank, going to have in this month, at the end of this month or at the beginning of next month, you must have a peer review certificate in hand before accepting. So, and if you are getting appointed in AGM in September, you must have a peer review certificate before giving your consent, I would say. So, before accepting any statutory order. And now I will not get into dispute, but this term statutory audit is not defined in this mandate. So I'll not go into legal dispute. In general terms, in trade parlance, we understand statutory audit as audit under Companies Act. But even audit under Income Tax Act is also an audit under a statute. So it can also be considered as a statutory audit. Just want to make you aware that it's a broad term. And now this mandate, the only revision in this table is of these two dates. This is the only revision in this table. This date is 1st April 24. This date is also 1st April 20 as on date. However, recently, just in this week, earlier this week, ICI Central Council has given a grace period, which is into public circulation, but however, official notification is not yet released. So you may see in the times to come official notification. But as per what is going on over the WhatsApp, this has been further extended from 1st April 24 to 30th June 24, and this date is further extended from 1st April 24 till 31st December 24. And the only reason is to enable CA firms to start their peer review at the earliest, because peer review takes considerable time in terms of preparation as well as in terms of get the entire official legal timeline of the peer review. So even if it is 30th June 24, then also you must start either by the end of this month or maximum by the end of April, not beyond, so that you can get the certificate in timely manner by before 30th June 24. So this is the broad mandate which I wanted to discuss. If any queries, then please raise. And Vinod Khanna ji, whatever your query is, please raise.
Vinod
आयुष
sir,
इसमें आयुष
kindly
इसमें
type your query in Q&A. Vishal, please go ahead.
आयुष इसमें जस्ट वांट टू क्लेरिफाई, इसमें जो लिखा है बिफोर एक्सेप्टिंग एनी स्टैट ऑडिट, जिसमें
हम्म,
कोई मेंबर ऑलरेडी हैज बीन अपॉइंटेड फॉर 5 years, तो वो तो
हाँ
कंटिन्यू
हाँ,
रहेगा ना?
वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा उस केस
एंड
में। इफ यू हैव ऑलरेडी एक्सेप्टेड एन अपॉइंटमेंट, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू, मतलब उसमें डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन विल नॉट गेट अट्रैक्टेड, जितना अभी डिस्कशन हुआ है। ठीक है,
ओके
इधर उधर भी वी हैड अ वर्ड, सो
ओके
द एक्सिस्टिंग acceptance will not get impacted. However, in such cases, you must ensure that peer review certificate is obtained before the date of sign.
ओके ओके
हाँ,
एंड
इतना सा।
अपार्ट फ्रॉम स्टैट ऑडिट जो बाकी सर्टिफिकेशन वर्क है वो तो कंटिन्यू रह सकते हैं ना, उसमें तो
Yes,
कोई
yes,
नो बात। ठीक है ठीक है,
yes.
प्लीज प्लीज
Yeah,
गो अहेड।
we support clients attestations and not doing statutory audits as of, I believe still we are required to, yes. Yeah, I'll cover these queries later on. Okay, so after this mandate part, I'll cover, after this mandate part, I'll come on to the procedure part. What is the peer review procedure? And best way to understand the procedure is this link. I'll take you, everything is available on ICI Peer Review Board website. You actually need not to ask anybody, just a matter where is it available. This is the illustrative timeline, and this is the best mechanism to understand the official procedure of peer. And the very first step, so firstly, I'll explain you the entire procedure at one stretch. Okay, so I'll explain you the entire peer review procedure at one stretch, so that कि आपको एक बार clarity आ जाए about the procedure. You may read it later, and आप and मैं एक एक point में relate करता जाऊँ, ठीक है? That's how we'll proceed. So the very first step of peer review procedure is Form 1 application. Application is the first step, and ये बहुत detailed है. इसमें everything goes by. Unlike earlier times, ये अगर किसी फर्म ने पहले कभी peer review करवाया, they must have a misconception कि पहले तो बस 2 पेज की application जाती थी and all the other detailed questionnaire and the client list used to get submitted at the later stage. अब ऐसा नहीं है. entire application containing all client names, all submissions, all policies goes at very first. And यही सबसे बड़ा change है. And let me just make you aware one thing. Whatever you are submitting to peer review board, it is it is a submission to ICI. Meaning thereby इसमें आपका first second schedule to CA Act falls in कि whatever submissions you are making to ICI, they should be correct and उसमें कुछ भी गलत नहीं होना चाहिए. I just want to relate. So many CA से कि अगर इसमें कुछ गलती बाद में ठीक कर देंगे या कुछ एक आध नाम कम चला भी जाए तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है सर, मैंने बता दिया आपको क्या फर्क पड़ता है. So it's a submission to ICI and अगर कल को कोई चीज खुलती है so it is subject to disciplinary action under first and second schedule. So अब इसमें फर्स्ट स्टेप इज, मैं आपको पहले पूरा ब्रॉड प्रोसीजर आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग ताकि आपकी एक माइंड में एक पिक्चर बन जाए पीयर रिव्यू होगा कैसे. फर्स्ट स्टेप इज, दिस इज द ऑफिशियल टाइमलाइन. सो फर्स्ट स्टेप ऑफ द पीयर रिव्यू इज आपको यू नीड टू सबमिट duly complete and signed copy of form 1 application containing complete client list. Then वो इंस्टीट्यूट जाएगी physical. There is no, absolutely no physical submission to ICI at any point of time during the peer review, entire peer review cycle. All submissions are to be made entirely via your scanned copy digital mode only. So entire peer review application is to be filled and scanned signed copy or digitally signed copy is to be mailed to the email ID I showed to you on the website. It is to be mailed to ICI. Then ICI will provide three names, a panel of three peer reviewers based upon the choice of location you make. Yes, you can make a choice about the location, but you cannot make the choice of the CA you want as a peer. Location, yes. So if you are in Delhi and one of your office is in Dehradun, you can have a peer reviewer from Delhi, Dehradun, or even Chennai. It doesn't matter for which location you want peer reviewer. It can be appointed. Peer reviewer can be from any location in it, any location. And even the only thing is in for whichever location you are getting the peer reviewer, you just need to bear the TATA in addition to the minimum peer review fee. That is the only thing. And even you are having the option of peer review, physical peer review, as well as you can get your peer review executed in virtual mode as well. It was permitted initially during the COVID and it has not yet been discontinued, but it is being continued. So even based upon the mutual consent of your firm and the peer reviewer, even virtual digital peer review is also permissible. So going further, the name of three peer reviewers is being given by ICI. You can select any one. And even if you're not comfortable with any of the three, you can ask for a fresh panel. That is your right. You can ask. After you select and give the name of one peer reviewer via return email to the ICI email, ICI issues one email of appointment of peer reviewer. This email is very important. This email is important from multiple perspectives. Firstly, the date of this email is to be submitted, is to be mentioned on the in the final peer review report by the peer. Firstly. Secondly, this email contains various formats and annexures. One of the format, although all the formats are available over here, all the formats are available over here, all the formats, form 1, form 2. There is only one format which is not available over here. It is available in that email, which is the checklist of the documents, the snapshot of the documents, the cover letter of the peer review report, which is to be submitted to the ICI at the very last. So this is important, particularly relevant from two perspectives, this email. Now, after this email, peer reviewer, it is at the volition of the peer reviewer to accept the peer review or reject it. In case he or she accepts it, then they need to submit a consent letter, acceptance letter in this format, form 2. In this format, they need to return via return email, they need to submit the signed copy of acceptance letter to the CA firm. After this step, ICA peer review board gets out of the picture. Now, after this form 2 is submitted by the peer reviewer to the CA firm, now CA firm needs to submit the form 1 application to the peer review. Yes. So peer reviewer, CA firm submits a form 1 application twice. Once at the first instance to the ICI, at the second instance to the peer reviewer. ICI doesn't provide form 1 directly to the peer reviewer, but it is the responsibility of the firm. Why am I emphasizing it? Because this date is to be mentioned and specified particularly at annexure 1. It is just opening. This is the final peer review report. Here it is to be mentioned. Just a second. Here it is to be mentioned by the peer reviewer at the very first step. It is to be mentioned date on which questionnaire is received. It is opening. Let it open. Date on which questionnaire received. So here, this particular email date on which you mailed the questionnaire to the peer reviewer, it is to be specified. And from this date, there is a strict timeline of 15 days. From this date, there is a strict timeline of 15 days within which entire peer review procedure is to be completed and peer review report is to be submitted by the peer reviewer to the ICI peer review board from this date. So this email becomes relevant because of this purpose. Now, after this, ICI peer reviewer a peer reviewer is supposed to review the entire Form 1 application client list. He is entitled to ask various additional information, and the relevant form for the asking the information is this. The format for seeking additional information from the practice unit by the peer reviewer. Normally, peer reviewers ask for UDI-wise client list. Secondly, the reconciliation of UDI-wise fees with the firm's turnover. QC manual. These are the normally through tooth or firm certificate, firm card, member card. These are the few basic documents which peer reviewer asks at this stage. So now, after this, after the peer review receives such information, peer reviewer is supposed to create a sample and submit to the practice unit CFO. Now, how is the sample to be created? I'll discuss at the time of Form 1. Just understand the process once. Now, after this sample is created, CA firms are given nearly 3 to 4 days time to organize the things for such sample list of engagements. And then peer reviewer is supposed to physically or virtually visit the firm and review all the internal documents of the firm with respect to such 10 engagements, sample engagements, as well as the HR records, website of the CA firm, internal independence records, and also the what we call it, the independence declaration, QC manual implementation, including your what we call it, the appointment letter of the CA firm, attendance record of the CA firm. All these are subject to peer review. Not just those 10 files. It's a major misconception amongst the CA firms that peer reviewer is supposed to come and only review those 10 files. It is not like that. Now, after the peer reviewer reviews the such 10 files and all the other records, peer reviewer is supposed to create a preliminary report if he or she feels so, in case of any in case of any unresolved issue. And in case peer reviewer issues any preliminary report, then there are three preliminary reports are to be issued. Meaning thereby, first preliminary report will be the report issued by peer reviewer to the CA firm. Then CA firm will make a written reply against each point of such preliminary report. This is the second report. And third report will be that upon this second report, peer reviewer needs to comment and provide satisfaction remark on each of the. And all these three reports are to be submitted to IC at the time of final submission of peer review. Then, after this preliminary report, if issued, peer reviewer is supposed to raise his or her peer review invoice to the CA firm in his or her individual capacity. So peer review is appointed in peer reviewer's individual capacity. So if the peer reviewer is a proprietorship firm, then yes, GST and it can be raised in the name of the firm and GST will get applicable. Otherwise, it is to be paid in individual capacity. And it is to be paid only and only via banking channel. Cash, not acceptable because because ICI proof of receipt of such payment is to be submitted to ICI with the final peer review report. So even checks are not sufficient. The peer reviewer bank statement extract or CA firm's bank statement extract is to be submitted to the peer review board, which is reflecting that such payment is made. How much payment is to be made? Sir, it is given over here, cost of peer. I'll just open it. It will open and I'll show you. It is visible over here. This is the minimum, whatever figures are mentioned over here. It is the minimum peer review fees. This is the minimum peer review fees. Minimum peer review fees. TADA will be additional. This is the minimum peer review fees. So for all the CA firms having turnover up to 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, whatever you are following the criteria in, this is the minimum peer review fees. TADA additional. And then in case during the period under review, there was any assignment of statutory audit of listed entities, then this fee is applicable. And in case AQMM, audit quality maturity model is there, then additional amount of this fees is also gets added. This is the minimum peer review fees.
Ayush, this fees is per annum or this is per peer review?
Total.
Total, no? So your turnover that we have to see is the latest turnover?
No,
average?
for
Average.
each of the 3 years. For each of the 3 years. Average of such 3
Average
years.
होगा ना? Okay. ठीक. This is minimum. Peer reviewer can charge even more than this fees. Okay.
Then after this peer review fees is paid, peer reviewer is supposed to issue peer review report. This is the format: final report and annexure 1, annexure 2. Annexure 3 is only applicable in case AQMM review is applicable. Otherwise not. Then peer reviewer needs to issue a letter in this format, letter 9, form 9, which is to be signed by peer reviewer as well as the CA firm as a token of acceptance that yes, we have received the peer review report. After this, the peer reviewer needs to collate and compile all the documents such as peer review final report, annexure 1, annexure 2, annexure 3 if applicable, for your receipt of peer review fees, sample, preliminary report, all three preliminary reports if applicable, form 1, application form, all these with covering letter upon it, and all these files are to be compiled in a single PDF and to be mailed by peer reviewer to the peer review board with CC to the CA. This mail is to be done within 15 days of the date of receipt of questionnaire, which I mentioned over here. From within 15 days of this date. After this, ICI takes time. They review your file. They review the peer review report and they ask queries. And it is mandatory to ask queries on their part. So do not think that they have asked so many queries. हमारा peer review अटक गया है. We are in trouble. No, sir. It is part of their standard process. It is their SOP that they are supposed to ask queries. Some of their standard queries are peer reviewer needs to confirm whether he or she has obtained UDI wise client list for each of the partner, and such client list is compared and matches with the attestation register maintained by the CA firm as per ICI guidelines, and has the sample been picked from such complete list? This is one question, one para containing three sub-questions. One of the standard queries of peer review board is this. Another standard query is whether if the CA firm is, if the peer reviewer is comfortable and can confirm that the firm has complied with all the SQC1. There are few standard queries of peer review board. One of the query I discussed with. Now the peer reviewer and the CA firm needs to reply to each of the queries and convince the peer review board in writing. It is not that you need to visit the Noida office and make submission. No, all submissions are to be made via return email. Once ICI peer review board gets satisfied, then peer review board issues one email with the title completion email. On the date you receive this email, you should think and you should feel relaxed कि अब 3 साल को तो बात नहीं. So now on this email contains कि for the now your peer review is complete. Only part is now at the very next meeting, whenever there will be a meeting of the peer review board, your peer review certificate will be issued, and you can conduct any audit or whatever you wish to have after the issuance of peer review certificate. And after the meeting, you will receive an email from peer review board containing the certificate number, containing your certificate number. And this email is valid and for all legal purposes. After this email, you will get the physical certificate within 2 to 3 weeks from the date of this. This is the entire peer review procedure. Peer review is to be conducted in every 3 years. So let's say if you get your certificate by with which is on issuance date 30th June 2024, and which is valid up to 3 years. That is 30th June 2027. Then you need to initiate your peer review before 30th June 27 and obtain your certificate by then to maintain continuity of certificate. So this is the entire peer review procedure. In case anybody is having any query with respect to procedure, please let me know so that we can proceed with the form 1 further.
कई क्वेश्चन तो Q&A बॉक्स में आंसर हो गए होंगे आयुष along with this, right?
हाँ, मैंने वही I have just left those questions which I am yet to answer. So whether peer review is required every year for certification for the next financial year? Sir, it's a 3 years. I've already answered Pradeep ji your query. Peer review is valid, certificate is valid for 3 years. So every 3 years, you'll be requiring peer review certificate.
Okay.
Reconciliation of which I'm not able to understand your query, but reconciliation is basically peer review UDN wise client list, and it is reconciled with the attestation register maintained by the firm. Such register is a requirement of ICI general guidelines. You can find the same in the Code of Ethics or even on the ICI.org.
Ayush, can you please also tell the members about the attestation register format? Is there any prescribed format so that
Yeah,
members?
yeah, I'll just come to form one. So
Okay,
उसी में there is the format.
ठीक है, okay.
Can extension of time of peer review be done? Can extension of time of peer? See, sir, peer review has already been extended, as I already mentioned, and extension of peer review certificate already been issued was made during the COVID as an exceptional scenario. Now they are not extended the expiry of already issued peer review certificate. So please.
There are two hand raises also, Ayush. If
So for the hand raises, if they
yes.
can ask the query in
Yes.
Q&A, please raise.
Yeah,
Or
I'll just unmute them. Rahul Vaishji, please, I'm asking you to unmute. If you have a query, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask.
can we get sample of checklist? Yes, yes. I'll just cover the documents to be prepared. I'll just cover total UDN minus revoked UDN assignments mentioned. Yes, sir, right. Yes, Gauravji, absolutely right.
Yogesh, I
Only
have
that
unmuted you if you want. Can we take his query, Ayush?
Yeah. I'm open.
Yogesh, I have unmuted you. Please start.
Good evening, Neha. Good evening, Ayush.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Am
evening.
I audible?
Yes, you are
Please
audible,
go
sir.
ahead. Please,
Yes.
please go ahead.
I just wanted to know once the peer review appointment has been done
Hmm.
and during the peer review period, for some reason, but the peer review unit is first time here, he might take some time to bring out those documents and other things which is required by the peer reviewer. Even the peer reviewer can have prior engagements during those 15 days of period. So
Hmm.
can the time extension of this 15 days period be done?
Yes, sir. It can be done. And the letter, this is the format for seeking the time extension. This is the letter for seeking the time extension.
Annexure 7.
Yeah, this
Yes,
one.
Form 7.
Yeah, this needs to be submitted to the peer review board to ask for the time extension. And practically, instead of submitting in advance, you can submit it at the time along with the peer review report.
But then they ask, matlab, when you submit the final report, they ask, have you submitted Form 7 at the, matlab, during the peer review process, or you are submitting at the end of the peer review process?
Yeah, they ask. I mean, it gets managed. If you are submitting in advance with a proper explanation, then also they accept it. In case you are submitting at the end, also it gets handled. I mean, preferable is you submit in advance, but even if you are submitting at the end, it also gets handled.
So, well, suppose I went for an extension of another 15 days. So total peer review period happens to be 1 month, right?
Yeah.
So suppose I received the Annexure 1 on day 3, and
Hmm.
I issue the peer review report on day 29th. Will that be okay?
Yeah. With extension, it will be okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you, Neha.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks. You can mute yourself. I am allowing Gaurav Khanna ji to talk. Please unmute yourself, Gaurav ji.
Yeah. Am audible?
Yes,
Yes, Gaurav.
Gaurav sir.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, my query is कि फॉर्म 1 में जो पीयू रिसीट लिखेगा वो टोटल रिसीट ऑफ द फर्म होगी या रिसीट फ्रॉम एश्योरेंस सर्विसेज ओनली?
मैं बता दूं। देखिए इसमें देर आर टू ऑप्शंस। एक्चुअली मैं फॉर्म 1 पे आ ही रहा था। मैं बेसिक्स एक बार आई वाज कवरिंग। फॉर्म 1 में एक बार कर ही लेता हूँ ओपन ना। क्योंकि मेजर क्वेरीज वहीं से आ रही हैं. बट जस्ट कमिंग टू फॉर्म वन, आपकी क्वेरी के बाहर नहीं, आई विल कवर दैट. जस्ट अ सेकंड, लेट मी ओपन फॉर्म वन.
सर आयुष जी वो कवर ही कर देंगे. इफ यू वांट यू कैन म्यूट योरसेल्फ. फिर उसके बाद कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेरी आपकी रह जाएगी तो आप पूछ लेना.
It is just opening. So there are, in the meanwhile, I'll explain you what is there. In the form one, there are two options. With respect to your query, Gaurav ji, there are two options in form one. ये कहाँ पर है? I'll cover each point. अभी sir की query I need to answer. So there are two options of giving your. This is the question. This is the clause where turnover is to be given. So you have two options. ICI has given you two options. One is कि you can provide only the turnover pertaining to assurance function. So all the attestation function, only for the attestation function for each of the branch and office, for each of the office, for each of the financial year, you need to specify. This is one of the option. Second option is considering practical circumstances. Many firms are not having UDN wise fee structure, or you or otherwise, even if they are having, they are not comfortable, or there are certain practical challenges which you might understand. I cannot disclose or discuss on public platform. There are certain practical challenges that UDN wise fees firms may avoid to disclose, or to have a comparative, or to disclose to ICI. Okay, so they prefer, or many firms are not having or attestation turnover and non-attestation turnover. They are not having a bifurcation. In such cases, ICI, considering the various practical circumstances, they allowed the CA firms to simply write the turnover in their P&L, audited P&L. So both the options are there. Peer review fees will be paid according to the figures you mention over here. And if you are opting with this particular option of assurance, let me give a piece of advice. Please ensure you have UDN wise fees with you, which is getting properly reconciled with the balance sheet figures. I mean, UDN wise fees total, and let's take about the figures. Your turnover, firm turnover, FRN turnover is 1 CR. Now, UDN wise fees total is, let's say, 60 lakhs. Okay. Now your assurance function turnover is 60 lakhs, non-assurance is 40 lakhs, and such 60 lakhs must match with the turnover specified in the CAG empanelment form and MEF empanelment. So you need to ensure, because you have already given such turnover during your CAG and MEF empanelment. So whatever submissions you have made elsewhere as well, you need to consider. So yes, you have both the options, and peer review fees is according. I hope I have answered your query, Gaurav Khanna ji.
यस सर, थैंक यू. तो इसका मतलब पीआर जो पीआर रिव्यूअर है उसकी फीस विल बी डिसाइडेड ऑन द फीस ऑफ एश्योरेंस सर्विसेज ओनली, राइट?
अगर सर देखिए, अगर इफ यू आर फिलिंग द फिगर्स ओवर हेयर तो यस. इफ यू फिल फिगर्स ओवर हेयर तो उसकी फीस इस वाली फिगर से डिसाइड होगी एज पर द जो कॉस्ट वहां पर लिखी. आप कौन से कॉलम में फिल करते हो उस पर डिपेंड.
डिपेंड कर. तो सर ब्रांच का और कैसे करना है? जैसे एक क्लाइंट के हेड ऑफिस है और 2 ब्रांचेस है, डू वी नीड टू कंडक्ट द पीयर रिव्यू ऑफ ब्रांचेस एज वेल?
क्लाइंट का कहाँ है उससे मैटर नहीं करता. FRN का पीयर रिव्यू हो रहा है. So FRN का peer review हो रहा है. If FRN has got 2 branches, तो branches का भी peer review. Everything will be covered. FRN के जो parts है, everything will be covered under peer.
तो क्लाइंट ने फॉर्म 1 में सिर्फ हेड ऑफिस टिक किया हुआ है,
क्लाइंट
ब्रांचेस को टिक
कौन है
नहीं।
यहाँ पे? क्लाइंट टर्म यू आर यूजिंग फॉर whom?
या आई एम पीयर रिव्यूअर एक्चुअली।
अच्छा, यू आर पीयर रिव्यूअर, तो क्लाइंट वर्ड मत यूज कीजिए, पीयू यूज कीजिए, आसान रहता
ओके ओके ओके।
है। हाँ बताइए।
तो पीयू का उसने जो फॉर्म 1 भेजा है आईसीआई को, उसने सिर्फ हेड ऑफिस टिक किया हुआ है, तो उसने ब्रांचेस पे टिक नहीं किया हुआ। मैंने जब उसको रिकंसाइल किया है फर्म कार्ड से, तो ही हैज 2 ब्रांचेस। सो डू आई नीड टू चेक द ब्रांचेस एज वेल?
यू नीड टू, मैं बता देता हूँ इसमें क्या है। आईसीआई ने यहाँ पर here are two options, peer
यस,
review
हाँ जी।
of HO, peer review of branch, ठीक है।
राइट राइट राइट।
Now ICAI has given two options of getting the peer review done in case the FRN is having branches. One option is कि आप जैसे बैंक के ऑडिट्स होते हैं ना, सेम पैटर्न पे आप ब्रांचेस के सेपरेट पीयर रिव्यूअर्स कंडक्ट करके ब्रांचेस का पीयर रिव्यू सर्टिफिकेट लो, और फिर एचओ का पीयर रिव्यू सर्टिफिकेट के साथ इट विल बी क्लब्ड एंड सेंट्रलाइज्ड एफआरएन पीयर रिव्यू सर्टिफिकेट विल बी इशूड। वन वे इज दिस। तो जैसे हमारा पहले 1 से 10 अप्रैल में पहले ब्रांचेस के बैंक ऑडिट्स कंप्लीट होते हैं, फिर सेंट्रल बैंक का सेंट्रल स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट कंप्लीट होता है, सेम पैटर्न पे यहाँ या तो ऐसे होगा, या फिर हो सकता है सीए फर्म इस इंप्रेशन में हो कि सिर्फ एचओ का होगा। तो यू नीड टू डिस्कस विद हिम और हर, जो भी सीए फर्म है, यू नीड टू डिस्कस विद द पीयू कि सर आप किस पैटर्न पे चल रहे हो, क्योंकि सर्टिफिकेट इशू नहीं होगा।
तो यू मीन के ब्रांचेस का ऑडिट भी करना पड़ेगा हमें?
यस यस, वो आपको
Okay.
एप्लीकेशन भी अमेंड करानी पड़ेगी।
ये अच्छा, ओके
हाँ।
ओके। और सर जो फिर फीस डिसाइड होएगी अकॉर्डिंगली, फिर वो ब्रांचेस की अलग डिसाइड होएगी?
नहीं नहीं सर, वो तो टोटल आएगी ना। आप
टोटल
ब्रांच की
आएगी?
भी टर्नओवर यू विल मेंशन, एवरीथिंग यू विल मेंशन, तो फीस तो टोटल ही आएगी
ओके
टर्नओवर के हिसाब से।
ओके ओके।
ठीक है।
ठीक है ठीक है, थैंक
चलिए,
यू सर, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू। अब इसमें फॉर्म 1 अभी भी यार थोड़ा सा टाइम कम बचा है, सो अभी फॉर्म 1 आई जस्ट कवर अप। फॉर्म 1 में आपका ये सारी डिटेल्स आपका फॉर्म 1 का पार्ट ए, एंड ये बेसिक एप्लीकेशन आपका सेल्फ सर्विस पोर्टल बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन से इट विल गेट फिल्ड। जहां पर आपकी वॉल्यूशन है दैट ओनली आई विल टेक नोट एंड स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन। जैसे ये है, सो ये आपको भरना है कि वेदर इट इज मैंडेटरी या वॉलंटरीली, आप किस रीजन से पीयर रिव्यू करवा रहे हैं। यहाँ पर व्हाट ऑल टाइप ऑफ असाइनमेंट्स यू डिड, सिंपली टिक कुड बी सफिशिएंट, या आप अपने क्लाइंट्स का नाम लिख दीजिए। देन ये दिस इज द ऑप्शन विच आई वाज मेंशनिंग, वेयर यू कैन मेंशन ऑफ विच लोकेशन यू वांट पीयर रिव्यू फ्रॉम। एंड यहाँ पे if you're opting from outside city, then you need to mention, let's say your office is in Delhi, so you can mention Dehradun, you can mention any place whatsoever, and वहां से आपको peer review will be allotted। then ये आपका सारा सीए फॉर्म का है, मतलब एसएसपी पोर्टल से इट विल बी कवर्ड। ये कुछ नहीं है, ये बेसिक्स है। नाउ दिस ये पार्ट वेबसाइट। सर वेबसाइट, एज आई मेंशन्ड अर्लियर इन द सेमिनार, कि वेबसाइट इज आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ पीयर रिव्यू। तो वेबसाइट, प्लीज इंश्योर द फर्म्स वेबसाइट, आपकी जो वेबसाइट है इट मैचेस विद द सेल्फ सर्विस पोर्टल आईसीआई फर्म रिकॉर्ड्स, प्लस इट कंप्लाइज विद द आईसीआई वेबसाइट गाइडलाइंस। फॉर एग्जांपल, उस पे आपका टेस्टिमोनियल शुड नॉट बी। सो ये दिस यू नीड टू इंश्योर बिफोर इनिशिएटिंग योर पीयर रिव्यू, क्योंकि पीयर रिव्यूअर रिपोर्ट में देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक आंसर टू बी मेड फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट, whether the website of the CA firm complies with the ICA peer review guidelines. So must ensure this part. Then आपका next is this networking firm, if applicable, if ICA registered network, then only you fill it. अभी इंटरनेशनल नेटवर्क्स पे इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ डिस्प्यूट, सो मैं अभी उस पे आई विल नॉट मेक अ कमेंट। दिस पीरियड अंडर रिव्यू आई हैव ऑलरेडी मेंशन 1st April 20 till 31st March 23, if you are applying before 31st March 23, then this particular table is to be filled from SSP records, and this is to be filled, a member also raised this query, this is to be filled for each of the partner who was there in the firm, whether or not, irrespective whether such partner is continuing as on date or not. Then only CAs employed only on 31st March 23. Again, only employees, details of employees as on 31st March 23. Only the numbers are to be provided. Then branch details are to be provided. This is a question which is a challenge, becoming a challenge for various CA firms. If they are having branches, then this question needs to be answered. कैसे करना है? If you are following it, because non-follow का there is no option. It is a requirement of SQC1. How it is to be followed, you need to answer tactfully and prepare records for such control procedure. It is subject to the review of peer review. Then, what is this figure? This 15% figure is basically, इसे ऐसा समझिए, ध्यान से समझिए, because at least one client mentioned in this table is subject to the is to be selected as a sample. तो मैं अभी वो client list के साथ I'll cover this. Then आपका ये है has few been subjected, ये कुछ नहीं है, ये basics है. टेंडरिंग बैंक concurrent audit के लिए what you file the application, it is not tendering, it is empanelment. There is a difference between tendering and empanelment, and the documents, the assignments which you have obtained via tendering, in all such cases you need to mention the name of the client and tender, TENDER, in the brackets after name of such client. ये और ये चीज ये लिखी what I'm mentioning. ठीक है. Now, अब ये है, ये please understand very carefully. Now I'll be discussing this particular part. ये client list का format, which Vishal was also mentioning. ये client list का क्या format है? This is the ICI format. Peer review, if you are going for the peer review of your firm, this is the first step. और कोई step सब बाकी secondary है. This is the first step. You need to you get this format prepared in Excel. इसमें कुछ tweaks and changes you can make. कैसे? Firstly you add two columns. Two columns is, one column is UDN, second column is fees. ये क्यों चाहिए? It is not to be submitted to ICI, but as peer reviewer needs to confirm to the ICI after the submission of peer review report, he or she needs to certify that yes, I have received UDN wise client list. That is why under all circumstances, he or she will be requiring such list. So prepare UDN wise client list in advance and accordingly proceed. Because I'm telling you one thing, in case of change of any client list, entire peer review activity will be required to get repeated. ICI makes the peer reviewer as well as the CA firm to repeat the entire cycle of peer review in case of a change of client list or sample. So please prepare it diligently and carefully. Add two columns as I mentioned. And instead of writing FY over here, you write FY by adding one column over here, signing date falling in financial year, and accordingly mention. So how can you proceed? Let's say you mention over here State Bank of India. Okay. Now for the State Bank of India, you raised, let's say you raised 3 UDIs or 6 UDIs. Each year you received bank branch audit. Each year you raise 2 UDIs, one of certification, one of branch audit. Now, there will be 6 UDIs for one for State Bank of India itself. Now, how you need to write? You need to add 6 rows. 6 rows. Mention State Bank of India in all the 6 rows. Here, HO or branch office, not of SBI, but of your firm. Which office of your FRN entertained or conducted that particular assignment? Mention HO or the branch office. Signing partner, in the type of engagement, you will write statutory audit or certification as the case may be. So 6 UDIs, statutory audit, certification, statutory audit, certification, statutory audit, certification. Then EQCR I'll discuss. For FY, you'll mention 2020-21 for 2 UDIs. For 2 rows, 2021, another 2 rows, 21-22, another 2 rows, 22-23. So 6 rows for a single client having single serial number A1. Then for each of the 6 rows, these 3 figures are to be provided. One of the query was such in the Q&A. For each of the UTIN, all these 3 figures are to be provided, comma, wherever applicable. Meaning thereby, in case the UTIN pertains to a certificate of 15 CSE, naturally, none of the figures you were expected to have. So in such certification, all these 3 figures will be 0, not applicable, or dash. In case you certified, you issued turnover certificate, then in such case, only turnover figure is to be provided, and rest of the 2 figures are to be mentioned as dash, 0, or nil, or not applicable. In case of audit, all 3 figures are to be provided. In case of statutory or tax audit, because you were naturally having the balance sheet of the client. In case of GST audit, only turnover figure is to be specified. So wherever applicable is the circumstance, that for whatever situation, whatever assignment based upon the nature of the assignment, such 3 figures are to be specified. And yes, as one of the query was there in the Q&A pertaining to this, that since such figures are not necessarily provided in UDN portal, so many members ask this query that how will they get this figure? From where will they get this figure? Sir, you need to refer back the balance sheets of each such UDN. You need to refer back the documents, the reports issued, each such report, and fill this document, fill this figure. If you think this is impossible, you have to make it possible because it's a mandatory requirement. And why is it a mandatory requirement? Because based on what you are filling over here, the sample gets selected. The sample selection required by ICI, it is based on such figures and such client list only. So while it is getting open up, I'll show you one thing. And all the clients, literally all the UDENs, all the clients are to be categorized in any of these categories. One client will fall, or it may fall under multiple categories, or it may happen that in the last year it was listed, but in the initial 2 years it wasn't. But one client will fall or is required to be covered only in one category. Firstly. Secondly, all clients are to be categorized in any of these categories. Now, how sample is to be picked by the peer reviewer? For each category, at least one client is to be picked. For each partner, at least one client is to be picked. For each office of the FRN, at least one client is to be picked. For each type of engagement, that is, statutory audit is a separate engagement, concurrent audit is a separate engagement, tax audit is a separate engagement, certification is a separate engagement, provisional financials or compilation is a separate engagement, prospective financials is a separate engagement. So for each type of engagement, at least one client is to be paid. So it cannot be said that only major audits will be paid, and it's a small certification. It is not to be covered in peer review sample. No, sir. For each type of engagement, at least one client is to be picked as sample. Highest turnover client is to be picked as sample. At least one client is to be picked from each of the categories. So if one client is there in category C, only one client is there in category C. So that client is mandatorily to be picked. So this is how the sample is to be created, and minimum sample size is this. If the firm FRN is having turnover of less than 5 CR, minimum sample size is 10. It is upon the volition of the peer reviewer to increase this sample. However, minimum sample is mentioned over here. And accordingly, since I mentioned at least highest turnover client is to be picked anyway, this question which I left over here, at least one client from this list is to be picked and covered under sample. Now, what is to be covered over here? For any of the clients you mentioned in any of the category over here, you need to check whether from such client the firm's turnover, all the receipts from such client, all the receipts means whether assurance or non-assurance. Let's take an example. For example, there is a client ABC. Your firm turnover is 50 lakhs. So, and you are doing statutory audit, tax audit, GST return filing, ITR filing, ROC filing, TDS return filing, income tax assessments for such ABC client. Now, the total billing from such client is, let's say, the total billing is 8 lakhs. 8 lakhs. Now, 8 lakhs include audit component is merely 4 lakhs. Well, tax audit and tax audit and statutory audit is only 4 lakhs, and rest of the 4.5 lakhs pertains to the non-audit function. So here that client name is to be specified because ABC, you have covered ABC in any of these category for the statutory and tax audit, and such client ABC is generating more than 15% or is contributing more than 15% of the total turnover of the CA firm, that is 50 lakhs. In our example, it is 50 lakhs. So 15% of 50 lakhs is 7.5 lakhs. Since the total billing from one particular client for both audit and non-audit services exceeds 15%, it is to be specified over here. And for at least one client from all the names you mention over here, it is to be covered in the sample. So that is how sample is created and files are to be organized. If there is any query in this particular sample or client list, please raise. This is very crucial because this is the first step. If anybody is having any query, please raise.
सर ये 15% वाला पॉइंट एक बार रिपीट कर दोगे प्लीज?
सर 15% वाला पॉइंट ऐसा है कि अगर आपकी फर्म की टर्नओवर का 15% और मोर एक क्लाइंट से आ रहा है जिसका आप ऑडिट एंड नॉन ऑडिट फंक्शन यू आर डूइंग, and total billing from that client for both audit and non-audit exceeds 15% of the CA firm's turnover, then उसकी रिपोर्टिंग यहाँ करनी है। और उन मान लो ऐसे 3 क्लाइंट, उन 3 क्लाइंट के आपको नाम देने हैं, एटलीस्ट वन of such 3 clients is to be picked as sample by the peer.
राइट। और सर ये एक 21st पॉइंट है इसी का कि वो टेंडरिंग वाला, तो उसका क्या लॉजिक है सर? वेदर एनी क्लाइंट obtained through the process
बताया
of
ना सर,
tendering?
हाँ, yes sir. So what all the names you mention over here, as I mentioned, if you have obtained such client from tender, आपको उस client के name के bracket में लिखना होगा tender, and at least one tender client is to be picked by the peer reviewer, and there is a specific question to be answered by the peer reviewer in his peer review report कि whether tender guidelines issued by ICI were complied with or not, and tender guidelines include the tender application as, तो वो भी वहां पर चेक कर।
So इसका हम सर्टिफिकेट ले सकते हैं क्लाइंट से या we need to check the tender
सर्टिफिकेट क्या,
guidelines?
ये तो आप क्लाइंट लिस्ट उसने दी है ना आपको टेंडर लिख के, इसमें सर्टिफिकेट क्या होगा? क्लाइंट लिस्ट
अच्छा,
में लिख कर दे रहा है वो टेंडर तो है, अगर वो नहीं लिख कर दे रहा तो नहीं है।
ओके, तो इसमें चेक क्या करना है सर?
चेक क्या करना है, वो तो जो आप चेक करेंगे एज अ पीयर रिव्यूअर वो करना है।
ओके
आपको पूरा
ओके
एसक्यूसी 1 चेक करना है उसमें एज पार्ट ऑफ नॉर्मल।
ओके ओके, राइट राइट, थैंक यू सर।
list of clients to be provided by to the provided to peer review or not. Yes, Anurag ji, as I already mentioned, ये तो आपको ICI को it is to be submitted. I've already answered this. It is to be submitted by to ICI and the peer reviewer. Without list of clients, how can sample be created? अच्छा रिया जी, I'll answer your query. अभी टाइम कम है, so let me just cover this part of form 1. एक चीज please understand, this entire part B is SQC1. अभी तक आपने देखा होगा पार्ट ए एंड उसके ऊपर देयर आर SSP सेल्फ सर्विस पोर्टल एंड बेसिक KYC. दिस एंटायर पार्ट बी SQC1. सो ये पूरा पीयर रिव्यू इज बेसिकली द रिव्यू ऑफ implementation of SQC1 in the CA firm. It is not the review of 10 files. It is the review of implementation of SQC1 in the CA firm by way of review of HR records, by way of review of website, by way of review of such 10 files. The inference which the peer reviewer will draw from such 10 files, वो आपको यहाँ पर उस accordingly you need to answer. And this entire part B is nothing but a reproduction of the SQC1 entirely. So आपको इस पार्ट बी को अगर फिल करते हुए इफ यू फेस एनी कंसर्न, एनी क्वेरी, हाउ इट इज टू बी फिल्ड, क्या सही आंसर होना चाहिए, कैसे होना चाहिए, हमारे यहाँ व्हाट इज टू बी देयर, उसका वन लाइनर आंसर इज ICI.org नॉन स्टैंडिंग कमेटी ऑडिट एंड इंश्योरेंस बोर्ड की वेबसाइट. उसमें आपको SQC1 मिल जाएगा विच इज ऑफ 33 पेजेस एंड आपको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन गाइड टू SQC1 मिल जाएगा. उसमें पॉइंट वाइज सारी चीजें एवरीथिंग इज कवर्ड एंड अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन गेट इट प्रिपेयर्ड and accordingly you can prepare and answer these queries. But please ensure whatever you are answering over here, peer reviewer को सबसे पहले इस आंसर का relied upon documents. For example, you are mentioning कि हम for example अभी जो सामने खुला हुआ है, if I mention how the peer practice unit, PU is practice unit, is mitigating self review threat. अब ये थ्रेट क्या होती है, ये कोड ऑफ एथिक्स में डिफाइंड है. सेल्फ रिव्यू थ्रेट उसका एक एग्जांपल है विच वी आर गिविंग एग्जांपल कि आप ABC का स्टैट्यूटरी टैक्स ऑडिट कर रहे हो एंड आल्सो यू आर अंडरटेकिंग द GST रिटर्न फाइलिंग, TDS रिटर्न फाइलिंग. While you are undertaking the TDS return filing, it is also part and subject to your audit, to your review as part of audit as an auditor. So you are going to review your own firm's work. This is self-review. So how are you taking care of it? You need to have a checklist कि आपने वो चीजें कैसे चेक करी कि self review threat was taken care of. इसी तरीके से how familiarity threat was taken care of and specific answer is there. Please ensure यहाँ पर stories नहीं लिखनी है. Specific answer to be provided because the more you are writing, the more details you are providing, the more content peer review board and the peer reviewer will have to objection and to take care or to inspect. इवन पीयर रिव्यूअर तो आपके ऑफिस आएगा, सो वो कहीं ना कहीं यू कैन हैव अ बॉन्डिंग, वो भी प्रैक्टिकल सर्कमस्टांसेस ही विल अंडरस्टैंड, ही और शी विल अंडरस्टैंड. बट पीयर रिव्यू बोर्ड से यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू मीट. Peer review board will get all the queries only based upon your submission. So wherever and whatever you are submitting at whatever stage, please ensure you are writing very specific and to the extent required only. And इसमें अभी let me just, ये मैं पूरा कवर नहीं कर पाऊंगा बट I'll cover one more thing just to make you aware कि basically peer review यहाँ तक है. Only till here this peer review is applicable for more than 80 to 90% of CA firms. Only till here. And this page number is 32. You need not to fill this part C. Part C pertains to audit quality maturity model, and this is mandatory only if you have undertaken these type of clients. Otherwise, आपको ये fill नहीं करना है. Please ensure you do not end up filling this Otherwise, once you fill it, peer reviewer is bound to review it, and peer review board is bound to get it a peer review for this part also. So in case it is not applicable in your case, what you need to do is you need to select and press the delete button and simply write not applicable in our case and submit to the peer review. AQMM only, it is generally recommended. It's a new concept. Unless you want it mandatorily, you may avoid it. It is at your volition. And इसमें करने का बस मैं आपको ये बता दूं one more thing कि इसमें करना कैसे है in case AQMM is applicable in your case. It is very easy. ये you take a print out and या फिर virtually आप एक एक डॉक्यूमेंट का सेल्फ असेसमेंट मोड पे यू नीड टू आंसर एंड स्कोर योरसेल्फ, स्कोर करना। और जब व्हेन यू आर असेसिंग योरसेल्फ, आप ऐसा मत सोच के कीजिएगा हाँ जी हम तो ये कर लेंगे, विजन मिशन स्टेटमेंट कितनी बड़ी बात है, अभी लिख वही लिख। सर ऐसे नहीं करना है, आप विजन मिशन स्टेटमेंट बनाइए एंड प्रोवाइड, बिकॉज पीयर रिव्यूअर को यहाँ पे अगर आप उसका एनेक्चर 3 देखेंगे उसमें 2 कॉलम्स एडेड है। One column is score provided by peer reviewer and one column is reasons for difference. So basically, आप यहाँ पे based on the availability of this document like audit manual जिसमें detailed procedure है कि firm में क्या क्या है, firm audit कैसे करेगी, QC manual, HR manual, आपके सारे formats, everything is there in the audit manual. अगर ऐसी है, you will mark 8 score over here. Then peer reviewer ko you will submit. Peer reviewer will get his comfort and then also provide a score 8 to it. For each step, for each question, आपको चाहे वो annexure C में हो चाहे ऊपर हो, for each step you need to provide a supporting document and only based on that document peer reviewer will be able to answer affirmative. सो ये है आपका AQMM का। आई कैन कीप ऑन इन दिस AQMM क्योंकि ये सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है। जो जो चीजें यहाँ मांगी है वो बहुत स्पेसिफिक है, चाहे टाइम शीट मांगी है चाहे कोई भी चीज मांगी है, बहुत स्पेसिफिक। एंड इसके लिए यू कैन इवन रेफर द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन गाइड टू AQMM, उसमें एक एक क्वेश्चन का डिटेल दे रहा। इसमें कैटेगरी निकलती है बेस्ड अपॉन द स्कोर एंड पीयर रिव्यूअर नीड्स टू सर्टिफाई द कैटेगरी कि ये फर्म की कैटेगरी निकल कर आई है 1, 2, 3 और 4, whatever category will be there. So AQMM, if applicable in your case, then only apply, and if you are applying, make sure for each of the question you have a document along with to substantiate your claim, to substantiate your submission of score. तो ये तो है AQMM का। अब नाउ देयर वाज अ कॉमन क्वेरी कि हम क्या क्या बनाएं फॉर ईच ऑफ द क्लाइंट, हम क्या क्या बनाएं। अब सर देखिए इसमें आई विल शो यू वन थिंग। अभी बात कर रहे हैं हम, आवर डिस्कशन इज लिमिटेड टू द सैंपल फाइल्स, ठीक है। अब देखिए मैं आपको एक बार ब्रॉडली कवर करने के बाद आई विल कवर दैट पार्ट। इफ यू सी तो इसमें देयर इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ एंगेजमेंट परफॉर्मेंस। आप इस डॉक्यूमेंट को देखिए, this engagement performance, and you review one document which is annexure 2 of peer reviewer report. उसमें क्या है, peer review report के annexure 2 में वहां पे essay wise peer reviewer को confirm करना है, essay wise that whether CA firm complied with SA 505, whether CA firm was having audit strategy. स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन है। इफ आई शो यू, सो देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन। आप ऐसा मत समझिए कि पीयर रिव्यूअर आ रहा है और वो इतनी वेरिफिकेशन कर रहा है, सो क्यों कर रहा है। देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन बिकॉज उसे रिपोर्ट कर रहा है। ये है एनेक्चर 2 एंड इफ आई शो यू, ये अभी ओपन हो रहा है। देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन, ये देखिए इन दिस क्वेश्चन जो the members who were asking कि whether QC manual is a mandatory part or not, सर ये रहा क्वेश्चन जो peer reviewer को स्पेसिफिक मेंशन करना है। Has the practice unit shared quality control manual with the reviewer and is this complied with? ये स्पेसिफिक रिपोर्ट करना है। आप नो लिख कर दीजिए, आपका सर्टिफिकेट इशू नहीं होगा। प्लस देयर इज वन मोर क्वेश्चन, ये वाला जो आप कह रहे हैं कि क्या क्या प्रिपेयर करना चाहिए। वेदर अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर्स आर प्रॉपर्ली इशूड टू स्टाफ रिक्रूटेड बाय द PU। अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर्स का स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन इज देयर, बनानी पड़ेंगे। देन ये आपका टेंडर जो गौरव जी ने पूछा था, सो टेंडर का अगर केस है, सो वेदर द पीयू मेंटेन कॉस्ट शीट फॉर प्रोक्योरिंग वर्क थ्रू टेंडर, करना ही पड़ेगा ना। यस और नो में आंसर इज वेरी स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन, वेरी स्पेसिफिक आंसर इज टू बी गिवन। फिर दिस इज द पीयर रिव्यू रिपोर्ट सेकंड, एनेक्सर 2। अब इसमें व्हाट आई वांट टू शो यू इज दिस क्वेश्चन, देखिए वेरी स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन, डज द फाइल कंटेन ऑडिट स्ट्रेटजी। अब अगर आपका देयर इज अ स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट असाइनमेंट व्हिच इज अंडर पीयर रिव्यू, उसमें अगर देयर इज नो ऑडिट स्ट्रेटजी, तो व्हाट विल पीयर रिव्यूअर आंसर हियर? वो नो लिख के तो सर्टिफिकेट इशू नहीं होगा। इफ नो इज आंसर्ड हियर, सर्टिफिकेट विल नॉट बी इशूड। इफ मतलब पीयर रिव्यू में क्लीन रिपोर्ट कैसे दे ही नहीं सकता ना वो, बिकॉज नो आंसर इज देयर, एंड इफ देयर इज नो क्लीन रिपोर्ट, हाउ विल सर्टिफिकेट बी इशूड? सो आप देखिए ऐसे 300 specific question is there which peer reviewer needs to answer. ऐसे 315 specific question whether the CA firm conducted analytical procedures. You cannot take a plea कि it was such a trader, it was a small trader tax audit, how can we create such documents? So it's a requirement of SA 315. And peer review, it is not at the volition or option of the peer reviewer कि वो क्या लिखे यहाँ। Peer reviewer needs to answer. Similarly, there is one question of this question जो है आपका SA 505 का, ये whether the practice unit considered external confirmation procedures. अब बैंक बैलेंस सर्टिफिकेट, debtors का बैलेंस कंफर्मेशन, creditors बैलेंस कंफर्मेशन must be there, not for all, but for at least few must be there in your audit folder or audit file. Otherwise, how will peer reviewer be able to answer this question? So instead of asking me if what all documents are minimum to have in your audit file, what you can do is you can simply refer each of the question over here and prepare and ensure such documents in your audit folder. Still, broadly, if I cover, then for each of the case, you can start with client acceptance procedures. जिसमें client acceptance checklist is required. ये client acceptance checklist कहाँ लिखी है? CP records is already mentioned. CP records are to be complied with. आपका client acceptance checklist कहाँ लिखी है? Here it is mentioned. Does the PU maintain client engagement and acceptance and continuation form? अब ये चाहिए ना? It is mentioned over here. अब इसका फॉर्मेट क्या है? फॉर्मेट इज विद इम्प्लीमेंटेशन गाइड टू SQC1. सिमिलरली आपका इफ देयर इज अ फॉर्मेट, आपका ये क्वेश्चन है, जैसे दिस इज वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस, हैज द प्रैक्टिस यूनिट रिसीव्ड फीस फ्रॉम अ क्लाइंट बिलो मिनिमम? Out of humor, many CA firms ask this question. The answer, the question should be reversed. Is there any client in which we received a minimum scale of fees? But nevertheless, whatever the question is, so if you are answering affirmative to this question, you need to answer this question as well. And at least one client where you accepted fees below the recommended fees is to be covered in sum. It is a requirement of IC. So accordingly, for each question is to be answered over here as per implementation guide to SQC1 and SQC1. And all such questions, for example, the firm is having, I wanted to show you one question actually. There is one question of independence. So there is a requirement that how the firm is taking whether periodical declarations are taken care of or not. So results, just a second, there is one question which I wish to inform you actually. Designated partner, what checks are put? Hmm. Hmm. This question is there. Declaration question is there. I'm just not able to locate it. There is one question whether the firm is undertaking declaration from the CA firm, from the personnel on periodical basis or not. So the format for such declaration, independence declaration on annual basis, is given in implementation guide to SQC1. It is an annual declaration requirement. Now, this question, whether refresher sessions are taken periodically, you need to have, even if you are using the Saturday culture, even if you are undertaking the sessions, training sessions of your staff, then also you need to have documented proof that you took that session. So what you need to do is you need to have a document. In case you are already having, then that is good. In case you are having any other proof that you have a recorded video or something, then okay. Otherwise, you need to have a piece of paper on which topic, date, time, venue, subject, participants, signature of each of the participant, speaker name, signature of the speaker needs to be mentioned, and it needs to be mentioned, it is to be there for all the 3 years of the period. Then the very first question, because many members were asking in Q&A, sir, this is the very first question, that written QC manual is required. Where the word is written, I'm not adding from myself. Written word is here. Whether the same has been formally documented and agreed upon by all the partners. So if your firm FRN is having 5 partners, all partners are need to sign this document QC manual. So please ensure, before going for peer review, the very first step is preparation of your client list. Then accordingly, you need to review whether your QC manual is according to that or not. Okay? And then accordingly to your client list and your QC manual, you need to answer each of the question according to that. And then, according to the submissions made, you need to have a supporting document which is substantiating your submission, because peer reviewer needs to clearly reply and confirm to the peer review board that for each of the question and submission in the questionnaire, he or she has reviewed the underlying document and verified the same. So for each of the submission made over here, peer reviewer needs to confirm and have a document with him, see the documents available by the firm. So this is, and broadly, if we discuss, because one of the members also answered this question, broadly, how you can start is that first step is in client acceptance. So client acceptance procedures are to be performed. Client acceptance could be in case of a company, ADT1 must have been filed. So audit proposal letter, audit proposal letter, then consent letter, then appointment letter, your board resolution or AGM resolution, then your acceptance letter, then your engagement letter, your acceptance procedures document as per SQC1, your consent procedures document as well as acceptance procedures document as per SQC1. These could be your client acceptance procedures. In case this was in the case of a company, if it's a case of non-company, then your ADT1, your consent will be removed. Engagement letter, appointment letter could be sufficient. And engagement letter is also required in case of certificates as well. So even in case of a turnover certificate, engagement letter is required. The format of such engagement letter in case of certification is given in Guidance Note 2 Certificates and Reports of ICI. In case of audit, it is given in SA 210 Implementation Guide. In case of compilation, it is given in respective standard. Then, then after the client acceptance procedures, next step could be, because SA 300 of audit plan needs to be complied with. So audit team composition, audit timeline, audit what we call it, audit program or audit plan, whatever you call it, detailed audit checklist, which is covering accounting standards, Ind AS, your whatever applicable, which is covering standards on auditing, because peer reviewer needs to answer essay wise. So it is such checklist must cover essays, must cover accounting standards, also income tax and other applicable laws, Companies Act, GST. Then such duly filled audit checklist, based upon duly filled audit checklist, then audit your audit observation document, or in the order observation document, each observation duly answered by the management, and further a remark or comment, conclusive remark. It could be one word, okay, resolved, done, whatever conclusive remark, but it must be there of the auditor. So 4 rows could be there in case of observation report. One is serial number, second one is the observation, third is management remark or client remarks, fourth is practice unit or auditor conclusion or auditor remarks. Then your audit, your balance sheet or P&L item or assertion wise folders or working papers. In case of balance sheet audit, this manner. In case where only tax audit of company was conducted, then clause wise folders, or if it's a physical file, then clause wise supporting document must be there. Then your MRL, it is undoubtedly, there is no alternate to is management representation letter is must. Then your another document is your balance sheet naturally, and your audit report. In case EQCR is applicable, engagement quality control, then EQCR review report as well. And as per SQC1, engagement quality control review is mandatory only and only in case of audit engagements of listed entities. In all other cases, it is optional. You need to specify the same in Form 1, that on which cases you are conducting EQCR. Accordingly, you need to answer. And normally, generally, CA firms fill it as EQCR. They make it mandatory for audit engagements of uh, public interest entities, which covers both listed as well as various other entities. The definition of public interest entities is given in volume 1 of Code of Ethics 2019. So this is the broad documentation which you can prepare. For example, I've also covered one query of one member, that in case of TP audit, what they need to prepare. So clause-wise reporting, clause-wise supporting documents need to be prepared. For example, in case of TP audit, TP study should be there, TP study report or agreements, for international transaction agreements, the particular invoices of pertaining to those transactions. So it is a subject matter of, it varies from case to case. So for each clause of that 3CEB or 3CD, you must have a documents as clause-wise folders or assertion-wise folders must be there. In this manner, your peer review will get done in very smooth way. So I'm just checking out that which queries I've answered. Digital competency maturity model is not mandatory, Gaurav Dalji. It is not mandatory. It is optional. Even if you are specifying that adverse remark to it, it will not impact your peer review certificate. Peer review is a 3-year exercise. I've already answered. Soft form, yes. Sir, Gaurav Dalji, audit files, you need to specify in your Form 1 that whether you are maintaining peer audit documentation in soft form, hard copies, or hybrid mode. It is generally recommended to mention hybrid mode. However, it is your choice. And if all the documents maintained in your server are, you need not to take their printout to show the peer reviewer. Simply, you can migrate through your software, your internal server, and show the documents therefrom. I've already answered this query, Gaurav Dalji. Sir, we have 200 plus clients. Yes, Anurag Mishra ji. all clients, even if you are having 1,000+ clients, all client names are to be given. Only thing is, either you can give the name or you can give the code associated with each client name. So, but all means all attestation. If the firm is having 1,500 clients, out of 1,500 ITR clients, GST clients, all clients are there, but attestation clients are only 500. So all 500 clients are to be given. For the clients for whom no attestation function is performed, such client names are not to be given. So I have answered, Anuragji, your query. Can Form 1 be revised to ICI? As we have sent Form 1 mentioning you did. Yes, sir. Yes, Praveen Agarwalji, you can revise it at this stage. However, it is more recommended if you specify the stage at which you are currently of the peer review. Accordingly, I'll be able to answer in a better manner for your query. If the PU has to get a peer review for the period 1st April 20, AQMM, sir, AQMM I have already covered. If you have conducted in the, agar AQMM applicable hai, listed ka case hai, then only AQMM is mandatory, otherwise not. If अब इसमें transfer pricing I have answered, documents I have answered, explain list of documents and SQC1 I have answered, sample of checklist documents I have answered, attestation such as 15 CACB, during which yes, it is to be covered. Then transfer pricing documentation I have mentioned. Form number 1 I have mentioned, Praveen Agarwal ji. Then this quality control. Does the PO have a quality control, sir? It is mandatory. I've already mentioned. If branch gets along done with the on-site visit to branch as well as HO. Sir, HO branch, what you can do is, if you are having multiple branch, it is not necessary for the peer reviewer to visit each branch. Rather, you can organize the sample clients which the peer reviewer has asked you. You can organize all those files in soft copy at single office and show to your peer reviewer from the same office. It is not necessary for peer reviewer to migrate to each of the office or visit to each of the office. How to comply with the requirement of engagement reviewer or EQCR? Sir, if it is mandatory in your case, ICI SQC1 allows you, Code of Ethics allows you to have external EQCR as well. So, in case of a proprietorship firm, any external practitioner in full-time practice can be appointed as a EQCR. It is allowed by ICI in SQC1 as well as Code of Ethics. Whether peer reviewer is CA himself? Yes, sir. Only a full-time practicing chartered accountant, duly empaneled with ICI peer review board, having experienced more than 7 years of practice, plus cleared the exam and conducted the training, can be empaneled as a peer reviewer, and only such firm CA will come to for the peer review. If a CA professional is employed on retainership, is it also allowed? She's not an employee. Sir, yes, it is allowed. The term over here is employed oblique consultants. So you can mention the such person's name as well. Even ICI is not paying fees, sir. Amarjeet ji, it is not my subject matter. It is a matter of ICI. You may discuss with the CCMs. Peer review, sir. Gaurav Dal ji, it is a subjective matter. जो है आपके सामने है, आप भी यही हैं, हम भी यही हैं. हमें अगर करना है तो करना तो इसी domain में है. We have no other option. Bank branch audit is also, yes sir. SBA is also covered. ये first category में आपकी bank branches में आता है. It is also covered. All attestations functions are covered for proprietorship, small firm. सर इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल नहीं है. ये 1949 से रिक्वायरमेंट थी. ओनली एनफोर्समेंट इज देयर टुडे. कोई भी लॉ नया नहीं आया है एक्सेप्ट कोड ऑफ एथिक्स 2020. ऑल लॉज आर ओल्ड, ओनली एनफोर्समेंट इज टुडे. जो आप कह रहे हैं कभी किसी ने पूछा नहीं, इसीलिए किसी को दिखाया नहीं गया. ये पॉसिबिलिटी वाला ये है क्योंकि फीसेस उस हिसाब से नहीं है. आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन करना तो इसी डोमेन में पड़ेगा, या फीस बढ़ानी पड़ेगी, कैपेसिटी बढ़ानी पड़ेगी. अभी नफरा का एक सेमिनार हुआ था, उसमें भी यही टॉपिक था कि उदय कोटक जी मेंशन कि सीए फर्म्स टू नीड टू इंक्रीज देयर प्रोफेशनल फीस. सो चीजें होंगी ही होंगी. After clearing exam and receiving peer review certificate, is it compulsory to submit form 3 to PRV to act as a? Yes, yes, yes. सर ये बिना इसके आपका empanelment नहीं होगा. So it is required. गौरव जी, I have answered your query. इसके बिना आपका empanelment नहीं होगा, आपका वो पैनल में नाम नहीं आएगा. So I have answered all the queries in Q&A. चैट बॉक्स में अगर कोई क्वेरी तो नहीं दिख रही मुझे.
मैं देख लेती हूँ. वो एक अरुण जी की क्वेरी आयुष रह गई है. सर, इफ चेकलिस्ट इज गिवन टू रिव्यूअर, he says that I have applied as to AS2 and AS22, whether we have to check whether the implementation of AS is properly implemented or not.
सर देखिए, पीयर रिव्यू में इट इज नॉट अ क्वालिटी रिव्यू, इट्स अ पीयर रिव्यू. सो पीयर रिव्यू में आप SQC1 चेक कर रहे हो एंड ब्रॉड बेसिस पे यू रिव्यू द फॉर्मेट ऑफ ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, यू रिव्यू द फॉर्मेट ऑफ शेड्यूल 3. आपको माइन्यूट में जाके एक एक AS की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन चेक नहीं करनी है एज पार्ट ऑफ योर पीयर रिव्यू. आपको ब्रॉडली देखना है कि द प्रोसीजर्स ऑफ द फर्म वर सच दैट ऑल सच अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स वर कंप्लाइड विद. बाकी इसकी अगर मोर डिटेल्स आपको क्लैरिटी चाहिए, हाउ टू कंडक्ट द पीयर रिव्यू या व्हाट डॉक्यूमेंट्स एज अ पीयर रिव्यू नीड्स टू बी मेंटेन्ड, वो आपको इस जगह मिल जाएंगे इन द पीयर रिव्यू मैनुअल वॉल्यूम 1. इसमें स्टेप वाइज हर पार्ट में लिखा है कि कंडक्ट अबाउट द पीयर रिव्यूअर, कि उसे क्या चीज कैसे चेक कर. एनी अदर
आयुष,
इश्यूज?
या आयुष सर, मेरी एक क्वेरी है लास्ट.
हाँ जी सर.
सर ये फॉर्म 7 जो जिस आईडी से हमें मेल आई है वहीं पे सबमिट करना है फॉर डिले फॉर टाइम एक्सटेंशन?
Sir, all communications, as I mentioned earlier, all communications with respect to peer review are to be made via this email ID. As on date, yes, it was.
ओके. और सर ये मैक्सिमम टाइम अलाउड कितना है ऐसे फॉर्म 7
सर
अगर हम?
ऐसा नहीं कह सकते, वो तो वहां पे मांग कर ही पता चलेगा और वो चीजें वहीं पर होंगी. मैक्सिमम कितना अलाउड है, कैसे है, लॉजिकल रीजनिंग देनी पड़ती है. आईसीआई इनफाइनाइटली अलाउड नहीं करती.
ओके. और सर लास्ट डेट कब है इसकी वैसे, अगर 20, 21, 21, 22 और 22, 23 का
सर
भी
अभी
है?
बताया ना, अभी आपका जिस कैटेगरी में है उसका फेज अभी एक्सटेंड करा है. जो अभी व्हाट्सएप पे सर्कुलेट हो रहा है, ऑफिशियल नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आई है, जो व्हाट्सएप पे सर्कुलेशन हो रहा है अगर उसका माने तो आपका 5 और मोर पार्टनर्स वाला ही जो फेज 2 है, फेज 2 30 जून 2024, फेज 3 31 दिसंबर 2024. अगर माने जो भी मेंबर सर्कुलेट कर रहे हैं उनकी ऑफिशियल नोटिफिकेशन जब तक नहीं आती तब तक कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता.
सर 30 जून 24 बोला आपने?
हाँ जी.
30 जून 24 और 31 दिसंबर 24.
हाँ जी.
सर ये फेज 1 और फेज 2 क्या है?
सर मेरे को शायद लग रहा है कि ज्वाइन करा. फेज 2 फेज 1 यहाँ पर पीयर रिव्यू मैंडेट में यहाँ पर है. दिस इज फेज 2 एंड फेज 3. ये जो टेबल है इसमें लिखा है फेज 1, 2, 3 एंड 4. तो इस टेबल के हिसाब से.
ओके. तो सर जैसे अब क्या प्रोसीजर क्या रहेगा? पीयू ने अभी ना ब्रांचेस वाला जो चेक बॉक्स होता है ना, उसमें ब्रांच वाला टिक नहीं किया. अब उसको मैं यही बोलूँ ना कि आप पहले मेल करके पहले वहां पे रिवाइज करो अपना क्वेश्चन, और इधर से मैं
सर
फॉर्म 7 सेंड
मैं
कर दूं?
समझ रहा हूँ गौरव खन्ना जी, एक चीज कि ये वी आर ऑन लाइव ऑन यूट्यूब एंड थोड़ा सा पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे टाइम हो गया. इट इज माय सजेशन कि आप मेरे को एक बार पर्सनल क्वेरी के लिए एक बार पर्सनल व्हाट्सएप कर दीजिए, ठीक है ना. एंड उस पे जो भी आप अभी जो हैंडलिंग का आपको चैलेंज आ रहा है ना, वो चैलेंज हम तब डिस्कस कर लेंगे. मैं कई चीजें अभी यूट्यूब पे आई कैन नॉट से. सो
ओके.
वो
ओके.
पर्सनली कैसे हैंडलिंग होगी ना उसकी, आपका कंसर्न बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा पर्सनल लेवल पे वी कैन डिस्कस.
ओके सर, कैन आई हैव योर लाइक मोबाइल नंबर?
अभी सर इट्स ऑन यूट्यूब, तो मैं मोबाइल नंबर ऐसे अभी तो बताने में
ओके.
आई एम
ओके.
नॉट
आयुष, आप
कंफर्टेबल.
चैट बॉक्स में लिख दो. आप चैट बॉक्स
अच्छा.
में लिख दो आयुष. हाँ. Otherwise,
हाँ
sir, I'm connected with all the members through uh, all the VOCA groups,
या.
WhatsApp groups. आप वहां पर मुझे पिंग कर सकते हो. इनफैक्ट हमने अपने सारे सोशल मीडिया चैनल्स चैट बॉक्स में डाल दिए हैं. वी प्रोवाइड ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन ओवर देयर, चाहे वो वेबिनार से रिलेटेड हो या कोई फ्यूचर सेमिनार वेबिनार, कोई भी प्रोग्राम से रिलेटेड हो, ऑल ऑफ दैट. प्रोफेशनल क्वेरीज भी साथ में सारे लोग आपस में प्रोफेशनल्स एक दूसरे के आंसर करते हैं. आयुष, अदर देन दिस एक आशीष गोयल जी ने मर्जर रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन पहले पूछा था, क्या आपने वो कवर
अच्छा,
कर लिया?
हाँ हाँ हाँ, सॉरी, थैंक्स फॉर रिमाइंडिंग। सो मर्जर रिलेटेड क्वेरी ऐसे है, देखिए, इफ इन द पीरियड ऑफ 3 years, अगर सम पार्टनर हैज मर्ज्ड, some partner has joined your FRN via two models. One is merger, one is as a partner without merger. अगर without merger है, तो the from the date he or she joins as a partner in the firm, उस डेट से वो जो भी अटेस्ट फंक्शन करेगा, केवल दे आर सब्जेक्ट टू पीयर। अगर विद मर्जर है, सो मर्जर के केस में उस द मर्जिंग फर्म की जो फर्म है, वो सीज टू एग्जिस्ट हो जाती है, उसका एफआरएन आपके पेरेंट एफआरएन से मर्ज हो जाता है। मीनिंग देयर बाय, मान लीजिए मर्जर आपका हुआ 31 दिसंबर 2000, 1 जनवरी 2022 को। लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल, 1 जनवरी 2022 को मर्जर हुआ, तो फॉर द पीरियड 1 अप्रैल 20 टिल 31 मार्च 2021, इस पीरियड में उनकी जो बैलेंस शीट और उसमें जो रेवेन्यू था, वो भी आपकी फर्म के साथ मर्ज होकर आपको पीयर रिव्यू फॉर्म में लिखना होगा। प्लस जो अपने उन्होंने अपनी फर्म में व्हाटएवर अटेस्ट फंक्शन दे परफॉर्म, सच अटेस्ट फंक्शन और विल आल्सो बी सब्जेक्ट टू द पीयर रिव्यू ऑफ द फर्म। सो मर्जर के केस में जो मर्जर की डेट से पहले उस एफआरएन पे जो जो फंक्शन हुए हैं, दे आर आल्सो कवर्ड इन पीयर। ऐसे है ये मर्जर और विदाउट मर्जर वाला, दिस इज हाउ इट इज टू बी प्लेड।
ठीक है। गौरव गुप्ता जी, आपने अपना क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया था आई थिंक। आयुष जी आंसर कर चुके हैं आई थिंक आपका क्वेश्चन, अगर नहीं किया उन्होंने तो आप पूछ लीजिए अनम्यूट करके।
नहीं मैम, आंसर हो गया।
हाँ जी मैम, इट
ओके
वाज ड्यूली रिप्लाइड, थैंक यू सो मच।
ओके ओके। देवेंद्र जी का एक क्वेश्चन आया था, वेदर फर्म कैन बी डीमर्ज्ड आफ्टर 5 years, इफ नॉट देन व्हाई?
सर, इसमें बाय का सवाल तो तब आता है जब मर्जर के टाइम पे व्हेन यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग द एग्रीमेंट, तो उसी में मर्जर के टाइम पे इट इज गिवन कि आईसीआई गाइडलाइंस के अकॉर्डिंग अप टू 5 years फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ मर्जर द फर्म कैन बी डीमर्ज्ड, दैट ओरिजिनल एफआरएन कैन बी डीमर्ज्ड। तो वो ओरिजिनल आईसीआई की गाइडलाइंस में ये लिखा हुआ है, एंड वो जो नाम है फर्म का और जो एफआरएन है, इट इज प्रिजर्व फॉर 5 years। सो आप ये वाई का रीजन तो है क्योंकि आईसीआई गाइडलाइंस, और अप टू 5 years दैट एफआरएन कैन बी डीमर्ज्ड, तो ये ऐसे है।
आई थिंक वी हैव कवर्ड ऑल द क्वेश्चंस आयुष। पार्टिसिपेंट्स, अगर आपका अभी भी कोई क्वेश्चन अनआंसर्ड रह गया तो प्लीज आप Q&A बॉक्स में लिखिए। कौशल किशोर जी का हैंड्स अप हुआ है, 1 मिनट मैं इनको वो कर देती हूँ, 1 सेकेंड। ना
हम्म।
सर, आप अनम्यूट कीजिए, कौशल जी अनम्यूट कीजिए।
कर दिया, मैंने कर दिया। हेलो, आवाज आ रही है
हाँ
आपको?
सर।
हाँ जी कौशल जी बताइए।
सर, मैं ये जो अभी मर्जर का आपने बताया था, तो जो फर्म जो मर्जर के बाद में जो रिजल्टिंग फर्म है, उसके
हम्म।
एफआरएन पर जो जनरेट है, जो 1 अप्रैल उसके जो बिफोर मर्जर पीरियड की होंगी, उनका वो देना होगा ना,
नहीं नहीं
टर्नओवर
सर,
और डिटेल।
नहीं
जी।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, जैसे मान लीजिए दो एफआरएन,
जी।
एफ रिजल्टेंट फर्म का एफआरएन है, और जो जो फर्म मर्ज हुई है उसका
हाँ।
एफआरएन है 1, ठीक है ना,
ओके।
एफआरएन 1,
ओके।
एफआरएन 2। अब
जी।
एफआरएन 2 तो पहले से एक्सिस्टेंस में थी, तो उसके तो 3 साल के आएंगे, ठीक है। अब एफआरएन 1 जो थी, वो सिर्फ 1 या 1.5 साल के लिए एक्सिस्टेंस में थी, उसके बाद
बिल्कुल।
वो एफआरएन 2 से जुड़ गई,
जी।
राइट।
जी।
सो एफआरएन 1 जो थी, जितने टाइम के लिए वो एग्जिस्टेंस में थी, और जो पीरियड पीयर रिव्यू पीरियड में जो कवर हो रहा है, उस 1 या 1.5 साल या दे विल आल्सो बी पार्ट ऑफ पीयर
नहीं,
रिव्यू
किस
ऑफ।
वाले एफआरएन पे? जैसे मेरे एग्जांपल में दो प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म थी और एक पार्टनरशिप फर्म थी, तो
हाँ
दोनों प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म, जो पार्टनरशिप फर्म पहले से एग्जिस्ट कर रही है, उसमें जाके मर्ज हो गई, ठीक है।
हाँ
तो जो तीन फर्म मर्ज होके सिंगल फर्म बन गई, जो पार्टनरशिप फर्म में गई, तो जो
हाँ
इंडिविजुअल प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म थी, मर्जर
हाँ,
की डेट से जो पीयर रिव्यू का पीरियड आ रहा है, उस पीरियड में जो इंडिविजुअल दोनों फर्मों ने जो वर्क किया हुआ है, उसका भी टर्नओवर मर्ज करना है इसके साथ में,
यस
रिजल्टिंग
यस यस
रिजल्टिंग के
सर,
साथ में।
यस यस, टर्नओवर भी। और
दैट मीन्स जो जो रिजल्टिंग फर्म हो और जो बिफोर मर्जर दोनों दोनों फर्म हैं जो पीयर रिव्यू के पीरियड में आ रही हैं, उनके इंडिपेंडेंट जो टर्नओवर और जो डिटेल्स हैं वो, प्लस जो आफ्टर मर्जर जो भी डिटेल्स है, वो सब मर्ज होंगी। ऐसे मान के
Yes, sir.
चलना पड़ेगा, जो बिफोर
Yes,
मर्जर
sir.
और आफ्टर मर्जर जो दो पीरियड है, तीनों का वर्ग जोड़ा जाएगा।
Yes, sir. Yes. बिल्कुल ऐसा ही।
ओके 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 सर, थैंक यू।
Thank you.
Okay, any other question left? Members, you may unmute yourself or raise your hands instead of writing in question answers. QA tab. Any other question?
I guess
I think
Vishal,
all the
Neha,
question.
more questions
आई
are
थिंक
not
हो
there.
गए हैं।
हाँ.
Yes,
आई थिंक हो
yes.
गए हैं क्वेश्चन। इसका लाइव लिंक जो था हमारा यूट्यूब का लिंक हम सारे ग्रुप्स में शेयर करेंगे एंड मेलर में भी शेयर करेंगे अपने नेक्स्ट वीक के। तो आप अगर दोबारा देखना चाहते हो तो देख सकते हो, या मिस कर दिया है तो किसी के साथ शेयर कर सकते हो। हमारे चैट बॉक्स के अंदर हमारे चैट बॉक्स के अंदर सारे सोशल मीडिया रिलेटेड लिंक्स हैं फॉर फ्यूचर रेफरेंस एंड फॉर फ्यूचर सेमिनार्स एंड वेबिनार्स। तो वहां पे आप हम लोगों को के साथ कनेक्टेड रह सकते हो। एंड आई वुड नाउ रिक्वेस्ट विशाल फॉर अ शॉर्ट वोट ऑफ थैंक्स फॉर आयुष।
Yeah, thank you. I think one question is unanswered. One member has raised his hand. I can see.
नहीं, कौशल जी का तो आंसर
हाँ
हो गया
हाँ
ना।
सर, उसमें थोड़ा सा मेरा एक कंफ्यूजन और था। जैसे
हाँ
जो
जी।
मर्जर हुआ था ना हमारा, उसमें
हाँ जी।
एक पार्टनरशिप फर्म भी थी। तो पार्टनरशिप फर्म में से एक जो पार्टनर है वो तो छोड़ के आ गए वहां से, उन्होंने रिजाइन कर दिया।
हाँ।
ठीक है, तो उनके केस में तो एफआरएन का कुछ भी नहीं आना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो फर्म ही मर्ज नहीं हुई है।
नहीं नहीं, लेकिन वो जब तक मर्ज नहीं हुई थी तब तक तो वो पार्टनर थे ना उस फर्म में।
वो दूसरी फर्म में थे, हाँ।
कहीं भी थे। एफ
नहीं
आर।
सर, सर जैसे दो, एक हमारी जो पार्टनरशिप फर्म है, उस पार्टनरशिप फर्म में जो पार्टनर ऐड हुए थे वो किसी दूसरी पार्टनरशिप फर्म में पार्टनर थे, और उन्होंने वहां
वो
से
नहीं
रिजाइन
आएगा।
कर दिया।
नहीं नहीं, वो नहीं आएगा।
वो
सो
नहीं आएगा ना,
अगर
जो
वो
फर्म
कहीं
मर्ज
और
हुई है वो
पार्टनर,
आएंगी।
यस यस, अगर वो कहीं और पार्टनर थे एंड उन्होंने उस फर्म के बिहाफ पे जो भी यूडियंस ही जनरेटेड, दे विल नॉट बी सब्जेक्ट टू पीयर।
ओके, बट जो फर्म, एक फर्म और भी थी इसी फर्म में, हमारे केस में जो पार्टनरशिप फर्म थी, फर्म पहले मर्ज हुई, उसके बाद मर्जर के बाद वो पार्टनर को उसमें से एक रिटायर कराया है, तो वो कवर्ड होगा इसके अंदर में,
वो कवर होंगे सर। वो जो
क्योंकि वो
रिटायर हुए
फर्म
वो भी
फर्म
कवर होंगे।
फर्म मर्ज हुई है इसलिए।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, वो कवर तो होंगे।
तो जैसे जैसे जितनी भी फर्म मर्ज हुई हैं, उनका बिफोर और आफ्टर मर्जर जो भी पीरियड है, रिव्यू पीरियड, उसको सबको काउंट करना है, वेदर
यस सर।
पार्टनर पार्टनर उसमें फर्म में रिजाइन कर गए बाद में या नहीं कर गए।
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
हम्म।
One more question,
प्लीज
Neha.
सी, हाँ जस्ट सी, प्लीज सी द chat box for Ayush ji's number. Nipun ji is asking, will part-time partners will be counted for peer review? Means 5 partner include part-time
Yes,
partners
yes,
also.
yes.
Sir, all partners are to be covered. There is no concept of part-time partners. मतलब
Yes, yes.
अदर देन आपका सी एंड एजी और एमईएफ के अलावा पार्ट टाइम पार्टनर्स का आईसीआई में कोई भी जगह स्थान नहीं है। आप मल्टीपल सीए फर्म्स में पार्टनर हो, वे भी काउंट होंगे।
ठीक है जी, अभी कंक्लूड करते हैं। विशाल जी प्लीज।
Yes. So now I can say 100% queries has been resolved in this webinar. No question has been answered. So Ayush, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope हम ये सेशन एक बार दोबारा रखेंगे when ये जो जून का टाइम है 30 जून, बिकॉज हमारे मेंबर्स की आदत है सब कुछ लास्ट डेट में करने की। ऑलरेडी सेड कि अगर 30 जून लास्ट डेट है, दिस इज द राइट टाइम टू स्टार्ट योर peer review process, to file your application with the form 1 as soon as possible, because it will take time, because आपको भी डिटेल्स वगैरह फॉर्म 1 सबने देख ही लिया, देयर इज सो मच इंफॉर्मेशन व्हिच हैज टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड, एंड किसी को कुछ भी असिस्टेंस चाहिए तो यू कैन कनेक्ट विद अस, एंड लर्न स्पीकर विल बी ऑलवेज देयर टू गाइड अस, एंड किस तरह से हमको कैसे क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रिपेयर करने हैं. So thank you so much, Ayush, and all the participants who were there till the webinar. So we hope कि दोबारा हम एक सेशन करेंगे, and with the more topics जो कि इस टाइम, and we I hope कि हम ये नेक्स्ट सेशन जो है बैंक ऑडिट पे भी करेंगे, जो कि अभी रिसेंटली बैंक ऑडिट सीजन शुरू हो जाएगा स्टैट्यूटरी बैंक ऑडिट्स का, उस पे भी हम एक रिसेंटली एक वॉइस ऑफ सीए से एक सेशन करेंगे. तो थैंक यू ऑल, थैंक यू आयुष, थैंक यू वॉइस ऑफ टीए टीम.
थैंक यू
एब्सोल्युटली,
वॉइस ऑफ सीए
एब्सोल्युटली।
टीम, थैंक यू नेहा, थैंक यू विशाल.
थैंक्स आयुष. ऑल्सो अगेन मेंशनिंग यूट्यूब लिंक हम लोग अपने सारे वॉइस ऑफ सीए ग्रुप्स और नेक्स्ट वीक के मेलर में शेयर करेंगे. एंड ऑलवेज यू कैन गो टू वॉइस ऑफ सीए का यूट्यूब चैनल. वहां पर आपको सबसे ऊपर टॉप में ये वाला वीडियो दिख जाएगा, गिवन इट इज लेटेस्ट राइट नाउ. नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट पंकज सर टू प्लीज लॉग आउट एंड conclude the session.
Okay. Okay.